So without further ado, we'll get started. Our first presenter today is Patricia Cymbala. Patricia is our Director of Assistive Technology for DDS and wants to share a little bit about some AT initiatives that are going on right now. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. How are you? Thank you very much. I can share my screen now. Let's see. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
We can.
Okay, is that too small? I hope that's not too small. I'll make it larger here. Oops, that's a little too large. Okay. All right. So we've got a lot going on. We've done quite a few initiatives, and we're starting up some initiatives. So why don't we get right into it? Respite homes, technology upgrades. So a couple of years back, we put a lot of assistive technology into the respite homes, the 12 respite homes throughout the state. So what we're doing now is we are improving or adding 2 different technologies, a Juno stove, which is really, really cool, really high technology, really, really amazing. We're also going to be training people on how to use those and the other technology within the house. The shows, we have the more advanced Amazon shows in there. It's just really great assistive technology. Stop by, check it out. Anyone can go and see the technology that's there. Call ahead just to find out the hour so that somebody's there. Okay, we have 100 people in DDS going through the assistive technology application certificate program. This is through the University of California. And it is a great, great program. They are going to learn so many different things about elderly, about augmentative and alternative communication, environmental controls. There's lots. There's too much to even mention. The important thing is that they will be able to do evaluations when they finish the course. Even if a DDS staff goes into someone's home and can recognize that assistive technology is needed, that alone is extremely valuable. So I'm extremely happy that 100 people are going to become more knowledgeable about assistive technology within DDS. This is one of the notice of opportunities. As I mentioned, 2 of these have already gone out. It's exactly the same one. Families, individuals that are looking for assistive technology and who are receiving services from DDS and can benefit from assistive technology, and they have to live independently or without an in-home support. So also, if they're looking forward to moving into remote supports, living a more independent life, Amy Blazawski is going to tell you more about that in a bit. And that's a really cool thing, remote supports. Providers. So another notice of opportunities for providers. And it is providers for individuals that are living in these settings here: community companion home, community living arrangements, continuous residential supports, and who are residing independently with in-home supports. So this is a great notice of opportunity. A lot of providers have taken advantage of this and used this, and a lot of individuals have received a lot of assistive technology, needed assistive technology, and help with assistive technology through these 2 notice of opportunities. These are some of the things that we've already, sorry, that's kind of big. Let me just, all right. So these are the things that, as I mentioned, we've done 2 rounds of each of the notice of opportunities I just mentioned. We had a customized employment through the use of assistive technology notice of opportunity that it has to pertain to assistive technology, using assistive technology in a business situation. For instance, if you did a dog walking business doing an app, there's many ways to use assistive technology to do employment. And we just awarded a request for a proposal to have numerous assistive technology evaluations done, and that will be coming up. So I want to say thank you. Please contact me if you have any AT questions or you need AT. There is a committee that reviews all of the applications, and if you're a family member, individual, call your case manager, and the case manager will fill out the application on your behalf. Let me stop sharing. Deputy Commissioner, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Patricia. And all these resources are available on our website, and we can share the link, and we'll share the links to the the assistive technology page on our website. Next, I would like to turn it over to Enrico from STAR, who's going to talk a little bit about the Assistive Technology Center and the incredible work that's happening in that part of the state around assistive technology. So welcome, Enrico. You are muted.
If I unmute myself here, I can. Am I online?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Can you see me? Not that that's as important.
We can see
my
you.
name is Enrico Melchiorri. I'm the director of the Assistive Technology Lab here at STAR Inc. As many of you may know, STAR Inc. has been in business for 70 years in the disability market of assisting and helping people become independent in our community. We have 17 group homes and apartments with community living arrangements and specialized apartment setups for individuals. So my charge has been to come in and help develop this AT library, putting it together with the technologies needed to do multiple assessments and evaluations ranging from smart home technologies, communication technologies, organizational technologies, vocational support technologies. And we have basically turned all our group homes into smart homes by implementing multiple technologies, including Alexa, door openers, specialized stoves, emergency systems and such. I have prepared a small PowerPoint presentation describing what we do here. And pardon me, that's my Alexa talking back. As she hears her name, she'll pop into my office too. So I will be giving this short presentation discussing about what we are doing, what we've done so far, and what we are looking to do, especially in regards to that RFP that came out to do the evaluations for DDS. So if you give me one moment, I'll reach out to my PowerPoint presentation. Now, this PowerPoint presentation also included a video in my third screen. If anyone is having troubles seeing that, please just speak up and then I'll skip forward as I don't want to hang up the presentation. So as you can see, we are the Assistive Technology Evaluation Center for Fairfield County here at STAR. We are helping children and adults engage, play, and achieve in their community. And when we say that, we mean that this is sort of a holistic approach, looking how individuals in our community can achieve, thrive, and become competent and capable members of the thriving community here in Fairfield County. This next slide includes the video that Katie Bonshoff, the director, explains a little bit about STAR's mission, and there'll be a little bit about how I explained what the technology we're doing here at STAR. Again, if there's any problems, please speak up and I'll skip forward to the next slide. So I think that went through. Thank you for that. So we've been pretty busy over here at STAR. I've been officially with STAR for about 1.5 years, but have been in discussions with STAR for the last 3 years, obviously given most recent pandemic that slowed a few projects down. But I am here as a director to help build this department and give it legacy, so that as I move onwards and forward, I have people coming in, building up the staff. So we're building mentorships and internship programs around this department to keep this department going. We've also been very good at fundraising. That's one thing that Katie and the philanthropy department do very well. We've access to grants from the Generation Impact, which is a group of young ladies here in Fairfield County who go and look at programs and decide which programs they decide to invest in. They were very interested in our early childhood programs and in early childhood development along with assistive technology. The Tuxus Fund, which is a money management company, also looked at us and partnered up with us in these funds. And the Suzanne McGraw Foundation has also been very instrumental in STAR, but along with what the assistive technologies are regarding young children and childhood development and educational development. A lot of these monies are earmarked for people who don't have any other resource to funds because of their scenario or situation, and also here to continue to fund the department as a legacy going forward. We've been very busy setting up the library. We've obviously purchased quite a bit of equipment with grants and ARPA funding and such. iPads, Microsoft Surfaces, Chromebooks, we're covering all the operating systems. We have a complement of enabling devices for both OT and AT evaluations. We use multiple mounting devices for switches and devices themselves. We have tables that are raisable height and tilt, so we can adjust all the workstations to people coming to us and we can work with. Those are also available for lending, and or we can give suggestions where to purchase that equipment should it be needed in the assessment or the actual implementation of the technology at home. Obviously, a bunch of apps for communication, organizing, reading, safety. Medicine cabinet lock display we actually have here on site. What we're doing in our smart homes is we're actually installing Yale smart locks on the cabinets so that we can help monitor medicine disbursement and taking of medicines using the Alexa as a piggyback to that. We also have Alexa and Ring devices on display to be utilized that can be calling out throughout the offices as well as to our group homes to show them we can do drop-ins and wellness meetings. We also have an on-site group home here at 182 Wolf Pit, where we can actually show and display the safety in the kitchen and the smart home devices at work in a real-time environment and get real feedback from our house managers and participants. We also we're very lucky in receiving a $330,000 grant, as I had said earlier and mentioned, to make all our homes smart. And that's been giving us quite a bit of a boost with our house managers, as they're now better able to manage and monitor their homes and deal with safety issues and concerns that had cropped up in the past. They're using Alexa, Ring, Yale locks, Resideo climate controls, as well as Yale Link sensors to keep a good handle and eye on what's going on at the house, as well as with its participants. We've increased safety and comfort, obviously, using some of these systems. We've also given the access to the Alexas to the participants, so they now are able to have schedules and run their own reminders, which has made them a lot more independent, as they no longer really need to count on staff to remind them of what they're going on and doing that day. So there's a behavior component there too, which is quite helpful because the staff doesn't feel like they've been asked a question 3,600 times, and the participant can ask the question 3,600 times because Alexa will always answer and not get tired of doing that. One of the things that Katie has also mentioned quite a bit as a director who's been here 40 years is always watching people show up in the wrong clothes for the wrong weather. They'll show up in shorts or flip-flops, it might be snowing outside, or vice versa. What we found now is that residents are independently going out to the Alexas and actually asking the weather so they can appropriately set up and come in with rain gear or umbrellas And a lot of our residents are quite involved with traveling and taking trips to different places. They're asking the weather for where they're going. So they're not showing up in Florida and dressed up as in a snowsuit. So it's been very, very, very helpful for a lot of folks. And obviously the listening to music or watching shows has made these folks independent, as they should be able to call it up on the Alexas at their own time. We have used ARPA funds to upgrade all our homes. One of the big upgrades was Wi-Fi access points. As you know, all this technology is really Wi-Fi dependent and needs good quality Wi-Fi and good quality connectivity. And unfortunately, before, the homes were really just dealing with one computer and or cable TV. So the Wi-Fi and the modems weren't as paramount as they are today. So we've now done multiple access points throughout the homes, depending on the size of the homes. They can have up to 3 or 4 access points. The condos and the apartments have single access points. We've updated everyone's notebooks and given folks Chromebooks so they can also work independently and work on their projects, but also do their reporting for the people who are working in-house. All new printers for reports and special projects. A lot of the folks like to have their schedules printed out in color, so we've gone with all new HP color printers and kept everything up to snuff. 1 gigabyte internet service in all the houses as it's rolling out. Even as we speak, we've had some houses upgraded today because as we know, did we just lose my sharing?
We did. We see you though.
Oh, well, I'm not sure that's as important. Let me see. Let me come back to it. I see some jumping around. Please excuse me while I jump to that screen. So again, using the ARPA funding, we've installed some security camera systems, and we've also set up some better office organization systems so that people are better kept on schedule and better kept on task. So what we've been up to in the lab in respect to our evaluations, we've been evaluating and trialing STAR participants. And when I say STAR participants, they can be people here within our day program, within our group homes, and even in our Rubino Childhood Center, which is sort of a center that deals with young children coming in who are doing OT and PT therapy, but are now also involved with assistive technology evaluations. We are currently here in our lab. We have one of our participants who's actually an employee who helps us out on a daily basis, several hours a day in our installation setup, as well as managing some day-to-day operations here at the office. So in his supported employment role, we have set him up with schedules and reminders. We've done some reading support with some other folks who've done some text reading for eyewear who've come in and worked for us as well. These are technologies that are really well suited to how to manage someone's schedule, make sure they're on time for work, make sure that technology is there to be repeating and not stressing out the folks who are helping them with work. So he can pop in, Alexa does a visual recognition and says, hello, this is your schedule for today, boom, 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 boom. And he's nice and able to understand what he's doing that day without being worried about asking too many times or embarrassed. That's one big thing is we find that people get a little stressed out knowing they're asking so many questions. So we try to minimize that stress by giving it to a piece of technology. We've obviously done some communication AT as well, using Proloquo. We're assessing a young kid at Rubino who's using Talk to Me using eye gaze. We are also looking at some other tools for him to use switching technology, so he's not constantly stuck in his adaptive chair, sort of in a F-16 fighter pilot position, keeping his head still. His mom was concerned that he'd be just totally tied up in that machine all day. So we're now looking at other devices using switch technologies and other communication boards and tools. Next one. A lot of the trials are also heavily involved in the independent living environments these people are involved in, either in their group homes or their apartments or individual apartments or their CLAs. So we've had situations where we've had to monitor and evaluate tools to prevent eloping, people walking off property, people walking out of the homes. So we've done some GPS monitoring devices and we've implemented them and have had great success with reporting and feedback and making sure that people don't walk off where they're not supposed to. Egress technologies we've evaluated and implemented for many of our homes that have either a ramp system on the house or at ground level. So we've installed door openers throughout all the houses, and giving the participants access remotes to get to it either via the van or a handheld remote or something off their wheelchair. They've also been set up so that the smart automation in the house can access them too and open the doors. Motion sensor systems for safety. We've done quite a few of those so that lighting turns on, doors open up, and systems are activated as the person is moving throughout the home. Door and window monitoring systems. Again, that sort of walks back to the eloping function to make sure that people aren't walking out of the house when we shouldn't be. So they get a Yale Link reminder saying that either a door or window is open. Unlike the original doorbell systems that were in some of these houses since the 70s, which is basically any door or any window that opened would just ring a doorbell, you wouldn't really know where to respond. Now with these particular systems, you can discreetly tell which door, which window, which whatever bedroom door is being opened because it'll announce that particular door. We looked at fire prevention and extinguishing, including some of those fire outs that go under the oven ranges and under the microwave ranges, just in case someone should start a fire. It would get quickly extinguished. And then there's also systems that, as we all know, will turn off the ovens, either gas or electric, depending if a fire alarm has gone off in the house. I feel that this is a pretty strong tool as we all look forward to getting people out of their current living situations to become more independent. This would be something the landlords are going to find quite attractive, because we've all heard the stories where someone moves in and something happens in the kitchen. That's the biggest, scariest place for something to catch on fire. Using these very inexpensive technologies, the extinguishing systems are under $100, and the systems that actually shut off the stove and or the microwave are under $500. They react to the fire alarm, and these are things that we can then say to our prospective landlords and our prospective participants moving forward. This is a way we can keep you safe and make sure that the landlord feels good about this transition as well. We've also been looking at locking systems for medicine cabinets, as I mentioned earlier. We're using the Alexas to monitor taking the medication. So we'll basically set up a reminder that a manager with med rights could come in and who's med certified will call in on the Alexa. Usually it's near the medicine cabinet or by that area. They'll open the medicine cabinet up via the Yale Lock app. The medicine cabinet will open, the person will take their meds, put the medicine cabinet away. The person monitoring this knows the medicine cabinet has been shut. And that has really helped us out a lot with the loss of medicines, not taking medication on time, the wrong amount of medicine, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been very, very helpful, especially when you're trying to keep staff in several different places at the same time. Everyone's taking meds at nighttime or in the morning. You can spread it out a little bit easier now. We're using Alexa quite a bit to make announcements within the home. That's helped out quite a bit with some behavioral issues that come up with some of our folks who feel like they might be getting yelled at because someone is shouting down the hallway that dinner's ready. We can now have Alexa make those announcements or invoke those announcements so that people don't get stressed out saying, oh my God, so-and-so is waiting for me. Alexa just makes that quick dinner bell and people know where to go. That also works in both directions. If a participant needs help and they're in their room and they are unable to leave their room or don't want to be shouting down the hallway, they can also make an announcement through the Alexas to call in for help to the people working at the house. One of the things we've also been doing quite a bit, and the behaviorists and therapists have jumped on board, including our in-house psychiatrist and psychologist, is doing wellness video checkups. If someone doesn't come to the day program or doesn't come to their regular scheduled appointment, they can be in-serviced at home using a call-in feature, the video call-in feature to Alexa. That's helped us out quite a bit, especially in an ad hoc situation. Let's say someone's having a bad day or something arises in the home. They've had a situation. One of our staff can do a quick pop-in and sort of help tamp down the problem and or even consult to the house staff as to how to handle the situation. So for us, that's been very helpful because sometimes seeing is believing, and not everybody has a cell phone at that time in their hand, but at least there'll be Alexa in the common area and or the office to deal with that. So what have we been up to now lately too, as you know, we've all have been part of this RFP for this new DDS proposal for AT referrals, and we've been named as the Fairfield County Evaluation Center. We're very proud of that. We're looking forward to working with all the other evaluation centers on working on similar projects and similar clientele and giving the state a good leg up when it comes to this initiative. We're all really looking forward to working together using a similar kind of data tracking tools and evaluation tools so the states can compare apples to apples across the board. We're very excited about that. We are looking forward to doing it. What the lab will be doing and has been doing is we're conducting person-centered evaluations. That's been STAR's motto since the word go. So it's nothing new to us, and it's nothing new to all of us here in this meeting. We're all working here as a person-centered service to make sure that that people who come to us are well serviced and feel part of the community in all ways they can. We're working with all parties involved with the individuals. This includes their parents, their friends, teachers, family, and all support groups, and getting all their feedback and input when we create these evaluations. We sometimes really need to, as we all know, sort of help understanding the goals and developing goals. People come to us with solutions or some problems or a mix of all things, and we sort of have to parse that out and help understanding and sort of putting a point on what the goals would be so that we can then try to come up with evaluations that are relative to a goal set. We evaluate and trial the appropriate technologies. And when I say trial, we also put the technologies in place because, as you mentioned earlier, we have our lending library to do so. So we do the evaluation and put it in the user's hand for a little while to see how it works out. Because as we all know, it works great in the lab, but when it gets to the real world, a lot of things can go wrong. Sometimes they don't, and life is great. Sometimes when they do, figure out what happened and then try to come up with solutions to not make that happen again. But the real world is not always as we know, the lab world. We do have the lending library, which again would be supported by our evaluations. We would then let people use the technology and trial it to make sure it works as thought out and then make corrections along the way. And also connecting our participants and our evaluees to resources to acquire assistive technology. So what we're doing now as we speak is we're building out our evaluation request form tool. We've just sat down with a couple of agencies or a couple of implementers now over the last 2 days. We're meeting with a few more on how to create quality forms that people can then make quality referrals to indeed turn out quality evaluations. We have an in-house tool we use ourselves, and that's been working pretty well, but we're looking to standardize that across the board. We're looking to develop a DDS specific referral form so that there is no what ifs, emails didn't show up or whatever. They'll be able to go to our website, or we can email them a link to a specific form that will drive their data and drop it into our customer management tool. So these forms will be linked and we're called bi-directional. So there shouldn't be any duplication of data or information, but we'll be able to get that, grab that information for a specific. So I'm hoping that our DDS case managers will go directly to this link, or we will send it out to them. We collect the pertinent relative data, so we have actionable information to create a proper evaluation and follow through. We'll also have other specific referral forms for our own in-house participants and our own in-house referrals, as we are open to direct referrals to our community through obviously other agencies and or direct pay and or insurance. These will all be linked to our website and readily available to folks throughout Fairfield County as well to make these evaluations. Everything in our data collection process will be HIPAA compliant. That's one of the things we stress with all our vendors is that they are HIPAA compliant. So if someone comes on, all that data is gathered and collected in a HIPAA compliant fashion. Data-driven evaluations. From start to finish, the data was going to be collected from referral all the way through the evaluation, and the evaluation will be built on a data-driven platform. So our forms and our internal forms will be related so that a report will come out based on specific questions designed for the specific request: smart home, communications, work, pleasure, and other technologies. the evaluation tracking for the agencies will be through a referral portal. So as agencies are set up through us, we will set them up with a referral portal that they can access anytime to track their referred participants. So in the case of DDS, we would give DDS the portal link, and they would go in and they could track all the evaluees they've given us throughout the process and where they stand. They could then come back to us and ask us any sort of relevant and pertinent questions, but they'll know when that person came in, all the way through their funding process, all the way through their eval implementation and setup, and keep them on track with that, as well as any other agency that we are going to be working with. They'll have their specific portal. We'll be hosting quarterly AT open houses starting in Q1 24. What that means is we're going to be asking our participants and our evaluees what's important to them. What do they want to know more about? What do they need a little specific brushing up in? And we'll bring those people in and do those things. We'll be bringing vendors in. We'll be bringing other folks in to make presentations and keep them on track and keep them abreast of the technology of the day. And again, thank you for taking part in our mission, and we're looking forward to working with all of you today and in the future.
Thank you, Enrico.
Now, I hope I can unshare this. I tried to unshare it last time. I hope I'm unsharing now. So
if you hit, you're still sharing, but if you hit the share button again, it should go away.
Share, right?
Yep. And I just wanted to say, I just recently had the chance to visit the AT lab at STAR, and it's really exciting to see the technology in action, to see demonstrations that are happening. And so for those of you in Fairfield County, you have a really, really nice resource there. And if you're not in Fairfield County, I would love to introduce Nicole Feeney, who is with us from Oak Hill, who is going to talk a little bit about the NEAT Center and assistive technology that's offered through Oak Hill. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am happy to talk about the NEAT Center at Oak Hill. And I want to make sure, because my computer's being a little funky, that you can all see my PowerPoint.
We can.
We can. Perfect. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm going to talk a little bit about our assistive technology program, and Enrico actually did a really nice job of covering some of the things we do as well. So I will bridge the connection and then talk a little bit more. We'll deep dive into the AT evaluation process a little bit too. But just so you know who I am, my name is Nicole Feeney. I'm the Senior Director of Oak Hill Centers. The NEAT Center at Oak Hill is one of those programs that I oversee. I have a long relationship with the NEAT Center, so I can be here talking about the program and the services provided because I was an assistive technology specialist for that program for many, many years. And so I always get excited when I get to come and join and talk about the services that we're still providing. Today, we'll cover a little bit about what and who NEAT is and what our services are. We're going to deep dive into the evaluation process and the consideration a little bit of assistive technology and all of the things you would think about as a specialist. We're going to get to some case studies. We'll see how many I can get through in my allotted time, but I've come with more than I probably should have. And then I will also kind of talk a little bit about our relationship with DDS and the partnership we have moving forward. So I'm here to talk about the NEAT Center. So let me highlight some of the exciting things they've got going on there. The NEAT Center at Oak Hill is located in Hartford. We are a program that serves all of Connecticut. We even provide some services out of state. And so we come to people. We do a lot of traveling. While we have assistive technology in-house at our center in Hartford, and people can come, demonstrate, see some demonstrations of technology and play with our lending library items. A lot of times we're on the road meeting people in their schools, in their homes, in their workplaces. We're doing that. Our goal in this program is really to help people find success and independence through the use of technology, to eliminate the barriers that they are coming up against and to achieve their personal goals. We always want to make sure that we're looking at that person and what they're trying to achieve in their life, because it is absolutely different for every person that we come across. And even people who are surrounded by their caregivers will have a different opinion of what tools and supports they're looking for in their life versus maybe what, you know, mom or staff are looking for them to be able to do. So it's important to kind of hear all of those perspectives. Our focus is really assistive technology. We are working with people across the lifespan. So we do a lot of work in the birth to 3 program and in the aging population and everyone in between. So we really kind of see people who, you know, are born into disabilities or have acquired them later on in life. And sometimes people revisit us as they age and as their needs differ. We also focus on augmentative alternative communication, otherwise known as AAC or communication. We have a team of speech and language pathologists who are also certified in assistive technology, and they do an in-depth evaluation of someone's communication needs and then feature matching them with the technology that can support their ability to communicate with their communicative partners. We also can provide remote monitoring assessments to help people determine what kinds of technology they could use to help them be more independent in their own homes and access life around them, or that social connectedness of people in their families. We do have something called a smart home on wheels, which is essentially, let me bring up some pictures here, but it's essentially a tiny home that is put on wheels and it's outfitted with smart technology, and we are able to bring that, we call it the show. We are able to bring that all over Connecticut. It's also been to Maine, New Hampshire, Washington, DC. It's going to Maryland in a couple of weeks. So it's been to a lot of places along the eastern coast. But essentially people come in and we give them a tour of the different kinds of smart technology that can help them be a little bit more independent and live home longer, or if they have disabilities, what kinds of technologies can support that for them as well. Something very exciting that we do and we love is our gaming accessibility. We work with individuals who, of all ages, who want to be able to access video games but can't because of a barrier that they have from a disability, whether it's vision or hearing or physical disability, that allows them not to be able to participate in video games like everyone else would, because the video game systems are limited. They're limited with the controller that the system comes with, or the features that are built in and kind of hidden behind the scenes. So our assistive technology specialists spend time with people to try to figure out what peripherals and what assistive technology tools can help modify those devices so that anyone and everyone can participate. We find quality of life to be incredibly important, just like access to work, access to reading, things like that. We also conduct digital accessibility services. So we help agencies and groups and individuals learn how to create accessible documentation or websites. So our AT specialists can help individuals figure out how to make their website more accessible, how to make documents accessible to people who use screen readers or have physical disabilities. We also, I won't go too much into it, Enrico did a really beautiful job of identifying some of the technology that he has in his lending library. We do a lot of similar things, and there's so many people out there who need access to this technology that it's really exciting to hear that Connecticut has more and more options for people to borrow from. The idea of a lending library is really to borrow the technology and identify whether that is something that is going to be beneficial to your life, because we know that people with disabilities who need access to technology may have to spend money to get that equipment, and sometimes it doesn't always work out, and that price can really add up. And so this gives you some time to kind of learn before you buy. We also do a lot of webinars and professional development throughout the year. So we do a lot of different kinds of webinars on education and technology, smart home technology, independent living. So those are something to look out for too. those can be found on our website. Just a quote I like to kind of start with before we dive into evaluations and what that means for people. But quality involves creative uses of technology. Technology should not only be embraced for the sake of improving services and supports, but also utilized to reduce unmet needs. So we want to eliminate those barriers for people and provide technology solutions that can provide them with a better quality of life. 3 important things to think about when assistive technology is being considered. Evidence-based. So making sure that the tools that are being used have been vetted and that they're tools that are appropriate, that fit the AT guidelines, that services are being conducted by credentialed professionals. And I'll talk a little bit about how you can do things on your own. It doesn't always have to be an AT specialist, but if you really need guidance and a deep dive, being guided by someone who knows the assistive technology tools is important. And then best practice, making sure that you're following, the guidelines. Connecticut has assistive technology guidelines that can be kind of viewed, and it'll help you, it'll provide some guidance. So if we're talking about best practice in assistive technology evaluations, what we're looking to do is identify specific technologies that can improve performance, access, participation, and independence, right? It's whatever people want to be able to do. We want to be able to get them the technology so that they can do it. The consideration framework is designed to match the individual with AT, right? We're looking at the person first and the AT tools second, as well as how we're going to implement and measure those effective solutions, that person-centered piece. Assessing individual needs, strengths, abilities, and challenges is going to increase the likelihood of finding solutions that will improve performance. Really looking at person-centered. What is it that they want to be able to do? What do they want as opposed to what does everybody around them want them to be able to do? What are their strengths? And then identifying what's getting in their way is going to help us find solutions for them. Studies show that 80% of individuals stop using assistive technology that was given to them because it was not a good match. So Enrico had mentioned before, it's really important to take that home in real life and apply it and see if it's a good fit, because oftentimes people will just abandon it. So really taking the time to provide training and working with the device to make sure it's a good fit for your life. To be successful with this process, it really should be collaborative. The AT specialist is actually just the lead. They're guiding the process, but everyone who's involved or surrounding that or loving that individual who's being served, their perspective is important. They might highlight something that they don't think is important, but is critical to the decision-making piece of the AT device. So it is really a collaborative effort, and the person in the middle of that is the individual whose opinion matters most. It should be an ongoing process. Things change, diagnoses change, mobility changes, vision changes, and so it's always coming back to, is this still working or do we have to make some changes? Just talking about the AT evaluation process a little bit, this is kind of what we do as an assistive technology specialist. We're looking at, this is the SET framework. This is really the framework with which all AT specialists use in some fashion. You're looking at the individual and you're looking at all of their strengths and their weaknesses and their desires for, empowering themselves and being more independent. You're looking at the task that they're trying to conduct and what is then getting in their way. What's the issue with the task at hand? Then we're looking at assistive technology tools. It might be 5 different things that we're coming to the plate with saying, hey, let's try these 5 different things to try to solve this, this issue with the task. And so you're going to spend some time exploring these options and collecting data to determine whether that's the right tool or not. You're also considering the environment. A really big factor is that not everyone remembers to consider is the environment around people. It's the heat, it's the glare from the windows if there's a vision impairment involved. It's really there's so many factors that have to be looked at when we're talking about successful use of assistive technology and the implementation of that. So I have a couple of case studies. I think I'm making good time here. But please, you can cut me off if I'm going too far.
You are doing great. And
Okay.
honestly, the case studies, this is what people are
Okay.
interested in.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll run through a couple of them. I want you to meet Pierce. We're just going to talk about Pierce a little bit. Pierce is part of a competitive employment program. He's working for a maintenance company where he goes and he has lots of different tasks throughout the day. He works very independently. He has a very structured day, things he likes to get done. He shows up on time. He's very dependable and consistent. He likes to go to the iPad and clock in and clock out in the time card system that the agency uses, but his struggle is that he has vision issues and fine motor issues. So when he goes to log into the iPad screen, the space on the screen is really small for him to see. And when he goes to log in his number, he can't visually see if he's making an error or if the iPad hasn't picked up on his fine motor issue, or if he's hit a number twice. It's really hard for him. And he gets incredibly frustrated because the iPad doesn't tell him and he can't see it. So he goes about his day thinking he has clocked in or clocked out. And then someone has to come to him and say, hey, did you work today? Or, what was the issue? And he gets really down on himself. This is something that assistive technology solutions can actually really help empower people to feel more independent. He doesn't really require someone to stand next to him and watch him do this, which is what had happened. So 2 quick AT solutions, simple solutions that worked for Pierce, were that in the software, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, the picture is the actual picture of his login. And you can see that the password comes up in dots. So when he's logging in his number, he can't see that the numbers are incorrect because they're dots. And so what we were able to do is just simply look at the eyeball on the right-hand side that comes with a setting that no one noticed, no one knew what that was for. But if you click on it, it changes it to numbers. So now he can pinch to zoom on the iPad screen, which is another accessibility setting, make the screen a little bit bigger, and then be able to visually see the numbers he's entering. And it was an easy and quick solution for him. Assistive technology doesn't always have to be about all the things, all the bells and whistles. These can be quick solutions and people can go on their way. It did require an AT specialist to come in and be able to help with this, but that was only because the people in the room weren't knowledgeable about assistive technology and they were very in the forefront about that. But if you are, and if you train teams or staff or caregivers with a little bit of knowledge, then these are the kinds of things that they can do on their own. They can explore on their own. I'm going to move quickly to Ben. Ben is a gentleman who has been diagnosed with autism. He has verbal speech, but he does not speak. It is significantly compromised in high stress situations, which are constant for him. He's always in a state of high stress. Sensory overstimulation, unfamiliar people, unfamiliar places, sends him into a place where he can't reach his verbal abilities. He then just stays in his room and he socially isolates. He started college, couldn't finish, started jobs, couldn't finish, and was really, really eager to use AAC, but didn't know where to start. And those tools are very expensive to just go try. Lending libraries can be incredibly helpful for that. That's actually what happened here. So we kind of guided him, gave him a few apps to explore, and watched him empower himself and choose an app that will work for him in communication. What that app ended up being was a text-based app. He could type himself. He was a very articulate gentleman. When you gave him something to write, he really could speak very articulately. And so this app provided some word prediction where he would start typing and then it would give him options of words so he could quickly select the whole word and have it entered into his text box at the top. And then he would be able to use the play button and have that message speak to his communicative partner. So it sped up the process and it eliminated the high stress of having to communicate with someone. His response, it got cut off for some reason, but his his response to this in the end was, oh my God, now I can tell my employer what I need at work. And so it makes a world of difference for people when they can just have access to one app on an iPad that could change a whole world. Oh, there it is. Sorry, there it is. Right, but it did require a little bit of training and time spent with it. He had to determine if this is something he was going to use in his own life and make good use of that. Okay, I have two more, so I'll go through them quickly. So we have Jack. Jack has Down syndrome. He's currently working in competitive employment in a university in the area. He loves helping people. That is his life's goal. He's very happy when you smile and you say thank you to him for helping you. He has a job coach who supports him and helps him around the office, but the trouble is the job coach is getting involved in things that they probably shouldn't. There should be more independence in some of these tasks, but Jack's not able to take those things on quite yet. If someone interrupts him when he's doing a task, it throws him off and he's not able to rally. He really can't handle those interruptions. And he has a really difficult time initiating when he's stuck. He will just sit. He will just sit for quite some time until someone comes to ask him if he needs help. So Jack needed low-tech assistive technology, but he also just needed some different strategies. And so when you have specialists who have experience with individuals and in different areas, they're able to bring those strategies with them as well. It's about the technology, but it's also about how do we use it? What are the strategies for this specific person in making their life more independent and more productive? So I won't go through some of the strategies here. I'm happy to send out the PowerPoint to you guys later, but some of the tech-based solutions are low tech. So it was literally about building a vision board of what steps he needed to take in some of his activities, going from one activity to the next. What happens if you're stuck? What do you do next? So being able to write some of those things down and provide visual supports was a really good support for Jack and allowing him to move through his day a little bit more. This app right here is called Pictillo. It's an app that you can create visual books or visual stories, step-by-step solutions. Essentially what we did is we created a whole table. When our hope is that in the end, we're weaning away from those and he can do those entirely independently. But the supports in between are what's really important for him. This timer, he would kind of stuck in like spending too much time on something. And so this is just a visual timer with how much time he should be spending on that task. He was able to gauge how much time he needed, how much time was left, and when the timer went off, that he needed to move on to the next thing. Just quickly, Harold is a gentleman we worked with. This is an incredible story. He has spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. He's in a power wheelchair, so that impacts his mobility and his communication. He is incredibly social, but has a lot of difficulty being understood by unfamiliar people. And so we were actually able to come in as a whole team. There was an entire team of NEAT specialists. We had a speech and language pathologist, we had a smart tech specialist, and an assistive technology specialist looking at Harold, his home, his communication abilities, his mobility, his reading skills, all of the things that were coming into play for Harold. And so we were able to get him an AAC device with eye gaze and a switch, an iPad Pro with switch access for reading and writing. And we outfitted his entire home with smart technology, so that one of the big things for Harold was, he said to me, my mom goes to bed at 8 o'clock. And so because she goes to bed on the top floor, she shuts all my stuff off. She shuts the light off, she shuts the TV off. And we're talking about a 20-year-old guy who wants to stay up late and watch TV and doesn't have that freedom. And so he was really excited that his AAC device was connected to the smart home technology, so he could do as he pleased at night. So these are just some quick synopsis of case studies. I'm sorry that I moved through them so quickly. I hope that gave you an idea of the AET evaluation process and the people that we serve. I will say, I won't have to speak too much about it, but Enrico had kind of alluded to some of the partnership with DDS in terms of referrals for those person-centered evaluations, doing smart home technology, assistive technology,
Okay.
and remote support monitoring.
Sounds good.
So we'll be able to kind of dive into that
Oh.
over the next couple of
No,
weeks.
I'm not on it. I'm just listening.
And
Somebody, thank you.
I love a partner. I love a good partner. And so we'll be able to do some of those same things as STAR. And we're really excited to have some partners in the state to kind of collaborate with and move forward in that process. So more to come on that for sure.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
Nicole.
much. Yeah, of course.
And thank you for sharing those stories. I think I could sit and listen to Harold's story all day, and that's so cool. And that's what this is all about. This is why we're really trying to share, spread the word, because those success stories are they're happening across the state, and it's really, really exciting to see how it's making an impact. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next I would like to introduce Kevin Arce. Kevin is going to talk a little bit about AT&Me, how individuals may be able to access assistive technology and receive some training on how that technology can be used. And so I will turn it over to Kevin. Welcome.
Hello. I just want to make sure do you want me to share the PowerPoint or just
Yes, please.
Okay.
You can share it.
1 minute. Yep. All right. Do you see this?
We do.
Good. So hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming to this meeting first and foremost. As you know, we're going to be talking about the AT&Me Technology Training and Opportunity Program. And before we begin, I'd just like to just give a heads up that for the first few slides, I'm going to play the recordings on them. And then afterwards, I'll show everyone what technology they'll be using in these classes. So if there aren't any questions, let's get into it. Let me know if you can hear this recording, just in case. Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Arce, Self-Evaluate Coordinator for DDS. Today, we're going to be talking about AT&Me, as well as the technology, training, and opportunities that assistive technology present. Now, before we begin, I'd just like to tell you all that after we're done teaching this class, we would like to ask you, the audience, to teach 2 more people about this class. Basically, what we taught to you, you teach to 2 other people. And if you're successful in this, you get your own backpack filled with all the technologies that we're going to present here today. So let's get into it. What is the AT&Me program? AT&Me is an opportunity for people supported by DDS to learn how to use technology to live more independently and improve their everyday lives. People who participate in AT&Me will learn how to use the equipment provided to them. DDS's goal is to accept an initial 200 participants who will learn the use and application of technology. After completing the training, each participant will have the responsibility of teaching 2 more individuals who receive services from DDS on how to use the equipment. DDS will provide the names of these individuals to the participant. This training and support will be provided to participants through a program known as peer-to-peer training. An online application needs to be submitted by the individual's case manager. So now we're going to be talking about what the purpose of the AT&Me program is. Well, the program is to give the ability to use digital media safely and independently. It has become an important and necessary skill. Many tasks today can only be completed by using technology, including applying for a job, scheduling a COVID test, paying bills, or ordering a ride from Uber or Lyft, etc. Individuals in the program will benefit from knowing how to use the everyday communication tools provided in the AT&Me program, enabling them to integrate more fully into the digital society. Who is eligible for the AT&Me program? Eligibility to participate in the ATME program is based on factors including assessment of the individual's communication challenges, available resources, the anticipated benefit of the technology, and alignment with program goals and priorities. The assistive technology backpack includes Franklin Wireless JE Extreme Wi-Fi hotspot, the Solo Urban Hybrid briefcase, the iPhone SE and a SIM card and wall charger, the Lenovo 3003 Yoga Chromebook with charger cable, the Gen 4 JLab Studio Pro on here headphones, and the OtterBox USB-A USB-C wall charger. It's important to note that the distribution of the assistive technology backpack will be determined based on the number of applicants. Sometimes prioritization may occur based on urgency of the individual's specific needs, with weight given to the case manager's recommendation of candidates from their caseloads. Individuals will need to participate in a pre and post learning survey and will be notified by DDS when training will begin. We'll be talking more about the survey in the next slide. Online applications need to be submitted, forms must be completed, and participants must bring information to take to the class. The forms need to be filled out. An online application needs to be completed and submitted by the individual's case manager. Participants must complete and send in the consent form to take to the class. Pre-surveys must be completed before starting class, and post-survey hard copies will be placed in the bag with an online link if the individual chooses to fill out the survey online. Forms to collect information prior to and during class. Participants will bring a form to class with them that will have their email address, username, and password on it. They will use the same document throughout the whole class to keep track of their new usernames and passwords. For example, Apple ID, iCloud address, etc. Okay, so now we're going to get to me using my voice. So, any approved participants will receive free assistive technology equipment, such as, let me just show you my camera. This, the Solo Urban Hybrid backpack and briefcase. You can see this through my camera, yes? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. The Franklin Wireless JE Extreme Wi-Fi hotspot. Lenovo 3003 Yoga Chromebook with charger cable. And the charger cable is right here. Just thought I'd show you just in case. And the iPhone SE with SIM card with a month of service until July 28th, 2024. And this is still going. So if anyone is interested, any individuals you know, just make sure that you tell them that if they're going to be in this class, that the months of service they get from both the Wi-Fi hotspot and the phone will last until July 28th, 2024. Okay. The assistive technology that they'll get also, excuse me, sorry, are the Gen 4 JLab Studio Pro on here headphones, the extra high-speed OtterBox USB-A USB-C wall charger, and the iPhone SE OtterBox case, basically the little shell that keeps your phone safe from, crashes or falling on the floor. This is how these are the instructions to work the JE Extreme Wi-Fi hotspot. I'm not going to get to all this, like, every single detail, but just so we have a good grasp on it, this basically provides Wi-Fi internet access for you and on the go. Excuse me, for your home and on the go. Excuse me. The on button is on the top right. You can see this in my camera, right? I just can't see anyone else's,
We
reactions. Okay, thank you, Elisa. The USB-C charging port is located on the right side, basically where you charge it. Sorry, left side right here. Excuse me, right side. And display power indicator light. The light that gives off on the top right lets you know that it's on. And in order to turn on the device, hold the button on the top right, and then you see the device is already set up. And note that on the top right of the screen, there will be a Wi-Fi name and a password. As soon when people individuals are in class, they need to put this Wi-Fi name and the password onto their Chromebook. When they turn both on, and when they do, everything that's in the information that's in here, they put in here. And then they'll use this to connect to each device. Basically, this is like a mobile internet Wi-Fi service. And then just to make sure you don't forget, make sure you tell them that they need to write this down, the password and the Wi-Fi address. So here's the Lenovo Chromebook. This provides access to the internet, web, email, and applications. It can be used as a laptop, or let me show you. Better than I show you actually. It can be used like this, a laptop. You see this? Or if you want, go all the way back and use it as a tablet. Oh, looks like it turned on by accident. I'm sorry. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So the USB-C data charging port, the USB-A port, and the headphone port, they're all on the left side. I know it looks right on where my camera is, but just remember that when this is facing you, like this, it'll be here on the left side. The lock receptacle, HDMI port, and USB-A port, the volume buttons, etc., they're all on the opposite side, the right side. The screen webcam, the keyboard, and the trackpad are visible when open. So as soon as you open it, you'll see the keyboard, the camera up here on the screen, etc. And to turn on the device, just hold the button like you do with the Wi-Fi hotspot. And the steps for setting it up are on the next slide.
Okay, Kevin, and I'm just letting you know 2 more minutes.
Oh, I'll speed it up. I'm sorry.
No problem.
So again, the Lenovo Chromebooks, these are the steps. These are directions for the iPhone SE. The iPhone SE steps are continued here. These are again the final steps for the iPhone SE. And these are steps into how to work the Bluetooth headphones, the J Wi-Fi headphones. And are there any questions?
We will hold questions till the end, but people can put their questions in the chat as well. And as you can tell, Kevin is one of the trainers for AT&Me. So the training that you just saw with embedded technology is available to people who are providing, who are going through the AT&Me course. I'm seeing a lot of really positive feedback, Kevin. Thank you. All right, and last but not least, I'd like to introduce Amy Blazawski. Amy is going to talk a little bit about solution circles and how solution circles have been used to introduce remote support. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. And I'm going to just take a moment to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
We can.
Excellent. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today, including all the great presenters that we've heard from today. Today, I'm going to be outlining a new practice that we've instituted in all 3 regions called Solution Circles. And the circles are intended to address remote supports and other enabling technology that we know can be daunting and confusing to some individuals and families, even case managers. We wanted to provide an open forum for discussion, for planning, problem solving. And so assistive technology and remote support technologies are also one of the 7 focus areas of our STEP initiative. So please look out for some of the STEP forums that are available for you to attend as well. So let's start by defining some terms, and I'll show and explain a little bit more about how these solution circles work, as well as our expectations for the remote support service domains. So while I get started here, if you have the opportunity to get into the chat, just pick a number from 1 to 5 in terms of how comfortable you feel with remote supports, the definition, kind of what they are. I'd just be interested to see. So let's go into the actual definition of remote supports, just to kind of set the stage. So remote supports is kind of outlining a new service delivery of supports from a remote location through a virtual means. And that can be done by paid staff or natural supports who are engaged with the individual through technology devices with the capability for live two-way communication. Remote supports include a service component and a technology component, and they also will encompass a backup plan as well. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some of the examples that we might see in the use of remote supports might be for cooking safety, overnight or daytime support, medication adherence, fall detection, visitor monitoring through outward-facing cameras, virtual support platforms. Something might look something like this, like Teams or Skype or Zoom. Community navigation, so GPS, physical assistance, organization, home safety, and also, of course, visual and hearing devices, as well as communication aids. And those are just a few. I want to just give you a visual here. So here you'll see our user, the individual, and he's connected to a remote support specialist. That remote support specialist could actually be anywhere, anywhere in the nation. And because he's connecting remotely through the computer, he can have identified time periods whereby that remote support specialist will be available to him. In addition to that, there could be things in the home, as I mentioned earlier, like motion detection. That could be useful in perhaps monitoring if a person is leaving their home late at night, or if somebody is coming into the home at a non-traditional time. All of these other little subsets here can also be monitored through a remote support platform. So carbon monoxide, smoke detection, the temperature, even humidity, activity in the home. And here's even more sophisticated things that we can monitor through remote supports. So here are some common areas of need, and I'll just have you look at this real quick, but you know, regular supportive listening and communication. Perhaps somebody has remote supports in place from 4 to 8 p.m. and they just need some help making dinner. It's a direct connection with an individual who is on the other side of the computer screen or whatever tablet or device you're using. It can even measure seizure monitoring, and we do this through interdependence and integration. So once we can integrate all of these things, all of these different pieces of equipment that the person may need, obviously not everybody's going to need fall detection, not everybody's going to need elopement tracking, right? But we would look at the most salient services that are pictured here and put those into that person's remote support service package. So when we look at remote supports for an individual, we have to engage in a team process, in a person-centered team process, and we have to do a little bit of creative planning. So we look at a solution circle to get that planning and that those creative juices going. We look at a joint learning curriculum, technical support, and then we look at deliverables. What is it that we want to see happen here? What do we want to see as an outcome? So I can give you a quick little definition of the solution circle. It's really a gathering of individuals who will work together to generate new ideas with the approach to problem solve or to get a collaborative process going in order to, get some solutions, some solution-focused discussion toward a particular problem, when in this case, we're talking about the implementation of remote supports. So what are we doing? We're getting together case management. Eventually, we'll get providers and other interdisciplinary staff, might be OTs, assistive technology professionals, physical therapists, transition advisors. And right now, we're looking at around 4 cases from each region. These are going to be people that are varying in age and goals in their needs, whether it be mobility or safety, vision, communication. And then eventually, we'll be able to work with individuals, the parents, caregivers, guardians, the remote support partners, and other stakeholders when and if needed. We're going to be
Amy,
looking at,
just
yep.
2 minute
2 minutes.
warning.
Got it. And so we're going to look at, some of the vicarious problem solving, motivation for new case referrals, simply by case managers being invited into this process. So we're actually building in technical support through a team process. And then hopefully what we'll see come from there are referrals, resources, and ongoing consultation. Again, the deliverables are going to be successful implementation and the use of remote support services and supports. I'm just going to kind of jump to 2 very important pieces here to get going. One is a document that we've created that's entitled "Are Remote Supports Right for Me?" And case managers can pull this up, and you can look at this in the text of a person-centered planning team meeting. And you're just going to go through the document and say, let's check this out and see if this is an opportunity that we could actually explore. Is it going to work for us? The second document is called the Remote Supports Checklist. Once you've decided, okay, remote supports look like they actually might be right for me, then you're going to move to this document. And this really serves as a guide to developing and setting up a complete person-centered plan that engages remote supports as a primary service option. So I will leave you with that, since we have I'm sure a ton of questions, and I will turn it back over to Deputy Commissioner Velardo. And thank you so much for inviting me and having me.
Thank you so much. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I have seen some of the folks that have gone through the solution circle process, and I have been involved with remote supports, excited about remote supports, but once I saw the work that was coming out of these solution circles, so exciting, and I really, really thank you for your work and creating that mechanism for remote supports to be available to people. So we do have some questions in the chat, and the first is from Elba Caraballo, who asks, is there a set amount of time between either through a life stage transition or a time frame for reevaluation when somebody's gone through an AT evaluation where it may be another evaluation might be considered? Nicole, do you want to take a stab at that?
I would love to. There isn't a set of time. It is really dependent on the person's needs, their life situation. If there's been changes in their in the way that they access the technology. And so it's really just keeping an eye on, is the technology not working the same as it did before? Is there some sort of barrier that wasn't there before? Or, have you put something into place where you feel like it's not engaging that person as much? They're not, the kind of novelty wore off. And so should we be looking at other tools? So it's not, if we were talking about school age children, I would say yes. But if we're talking about adults, it really is dependent on keeping an eye on how things are going for them. And if there's been a life change for them that would impact their access.
Thank you so much. The next question is from Anush. And Anush, I think I'm going to ask you if you're willing to come on to just give a little bit more information about your question. How does the billing work for AT services? What are the procedure codes? Who is the contact for billing questions? I think this may be a resource manager type question, but I want to make sure I understand completely.
Yeah, sure. I was just wondering if we provide assistive technology services, how are we able to bill for those services? And if there is a billing contact, can we reach out to her?
I think there are several mechanisms to provide assistive technology. Amy, do you want to give just kind of give an overview as far as what the options are? If people are, you're asking as a provider, Anush?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I understand your question. Are you specifically talking about assessment?
Yeah, assessments too.
Okay, so assessment, we at DDS, we can either use when people are requesting an assessment, we can provide them with up to $2,000 for 10 hours of assessment time, and that's billed at up to $200 per hour. So you would technically, an individual would go through either the process, or they could use their individualized budget that may have an AT line built into it. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that was my question.
Great, thank you. Thanks for asking.
All right. The next comment was from Michelle, who is attending for the first time, and I see a connection has been made with Patricia and Amy, which is great. Michelle, I would love to reach out to you to see if you might be interested in participating in a future forum. If you are willing, that then I will follow up and make contact with you, because I would love to have you be able to share your story and your experience in a future forum. All right. And then we got a lot of positive comments for Kevin. Kevin, people thought that your presentation provided a lot of information, was really thorough and informative. So 2 thumbs up.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then Chris Walsh-Brahaney asked how she would go about accessing the AT&Me application.
I believe that's a question for you, right, Patricia?
Yeah. As a case manager, I'll provide you with the information. If it is a family, they need to contact their case manager, and their case manager will have all that information. We should also have that online as well.
Okay. And then Wendy had a question for you, Amy, and I see some of these questions are being answered as they're being asked. Does the process only fit for people who live in their own home? And I see that you already responded, but if you want to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we would like to see an AT evaluation done very person-centered, but there are times when an entire home may need to be outfitted with assistive technology. So there's a consideration on both sides that you would have to look at the environment and kind of see who needs what and what's needed in the home.
Thank you. But that's the perfect question, Wendy, for me to kind of wrap this all up. I think when we talk about assistive technology, there was a ton of information that's come through today. And there's much, much more. This was just the tip of the iceberg. We will continue to talk about assistive technology in these forums. But you could hear through Enrico's presentation, smart homes being set up in CLA environments. We heard individuals. Nicole talked about people using assistive technology in their workplaces. Kevin's talking about assistive technology, peer-to-peer training. I think the bottom line is assistive technology may be applicable for just about anyone. We're using assistive technology right now. We all depend on assistive technology in our day-to-day life. And so if you have a question, you think somebody might benefit, you think you might benefit from assistive technology, you can always reach out to your case manager. You can always reach out to Patricia Cymbala, our Director of Assistive Technology, and she'll point you in the right direction. If you self-direct and you have questions about how AT might work through self-direction, Amy would be a great resource. Now you're introduced to what STAR has to offer and their resource library on assistive technology. Nicole, I know would be a great resource. And if you haven't been over to visit the NEAT Center, it's well worth the trip. It is amazing what the resources that are available. So I know we're a little over time, but I want to thank everyone for participating today. I want to thank our presenters for sharing such important information, and I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. Take care.